rapid desensitization process, which sounds very similar to what you're doing from that side, and you retrain your brain to sort of deal with these trigger spots, and not, it's not the same obviously, but that process of going back to an event and sort of taking out, a lot of the trigger points in that. And it doesn't always work. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it does help you in your everyday life to sort of cope with a lot of different things that will allow you to actually react in the moment that you're it's a backfire out of a motorcycle. It's not somebody shooting at you type thing, which can be quite a lot different. So
there's so many techniques.
Yeah.
So many ways you can find something that works for you.
Right, and I think that's one of those things where and that you do have to recommend that people find a method that works. The reason I say that story is simply because of the fact that I know a lot of people struggle with this. I mean, a lot of times people say that they struggle with seeing a paranormal event and have PTSD. And how do I deal with that? And who do I go to talk to about something like that? Because, in the first thing, you've got a double trauma there. One is you were traumatized by the event, and the second thing is you're traumatized by the fact that you feel like you don't have anybody that you can share that with. So it's almost a double burden. So, which is interesting to lead to the sort of the idea of the UFO part that you're now interested in, and so what made you become part of a group of people that did that? I mean, I know you had. I was looking at your publisher sleeve of your author's page of your book, and sounds like you do a lot of charity work, and you try to help people who are in situations that are families in transition and things like that. That's a wonderful thing. So, I mean, it seems like you were following some passion and giving back to the community. So, what made you decide, hey, let's get into this UFO lark thing?
It's my dragon. My dragon did it. My dragon made me do it.
Really?
I was at my flying dragon. Oh, I love my dragon. He came through as a dream, as a spiraling salamander, I called him. And then the salamander, gosh, I was at my boyfriend's apartment, middle of the day, and this salamander came through, and I was looking above his head, looking out, and he was underneath me. And then I was looking out through his eyes, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I am this salamander. And then I got the impression of a dragon, and I realized I am a dragon. And then I had this wonderful winged dragon with me. And years later, I was at the Fairy Congress at Scalitude Retreat Center, and they're having that again this year. It's near Winthrop.
Yeah.
And I was reading a vision from my book. I was on the microphone, and I was kind of listening to my amplified sound, and maybe I could read it. I mean, if I can find it.
Sure.
I don't know if I can find it.
We'll talk. You if you can go look for it. And you need to. Or not.
No, my book's in front of me. If I page to it, I'll read it.
Okay.
But anyway, I realized that my dragon is a spacecraft.
Right.
It's exactly. It sounds just like a spacecraft, and so Una, who is the organizer, the founder of Seattle UFO Network, I found her, and I said, I need to get involved with Sue Phan. So that's when my UFO path began.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is interesting that, when we're talking about dragons and things like that, especially in ancient China, people like Wang Di, which was, the dragon emperor, and he would come down and travel around in his dragon, and he would, if he wanted to go someplace else in the world, he'd just jump on his dragon and go somewhere else. And so, these ideas of flying serpents, are all over, especially whenever it comes to speaking about, possible explanations for UFOs and things like that. And, Mayans have Quetzalcoatl and things like that. And so, it's always an interesting thing where you say, well, how come these people who lived centuries apart and thousands of kilometers apart seem to have these similar these stories? And that's what's always interesting to me. That and yet,
it's a universal, archetype. Is it an archetype?
Right.
It's more than that. I think it's an extraterrestrial being.
Yeah.
It's and they shapeshift. It's like shamanic,
right.
Magic. There's so much shape-shifting going on. I shape-shift. When I dream, I become somebody else. I go somewhere. You do too.
Mm-hmm.
We live in multidimensional worlds, and we shape-shift. It's fun. It's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
I call it enchanting because I have the white light. I'm not afraid. If I was in my old toxic state, my own ego-driven state from, age 20, I couldn't do it.
Right. Well, I think that you're exactly right, and one of the things that I think that is very interesting, and people don't do enough of, is sort of try to examine their dreams and understand. I mean, there's two schools of thought, right? And you do have to say, if you're a completely science-based person, then you may maybe say, well, you're not really shifting shape, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing, and that's fine. If somebody wants to look at it that way, that's fine. But it is, at very least, a part of your subconscious really trying to get to grips with a problem that it can't work out in the daylight hours. I mean, it's I know that a lot of times and this must be true too, because you're a hypnotherapist, you must get people call you up after the hypnotherapy session, and they go home and they have 1 or 2 nights dreams, and it seems like that is where their brain starts to fully process the experiences that they went through. I know that was the way it was for me. It seemed like,
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have people call you up afterwards and say, well, we had that session, and then, man, I went home and I dreamt about it all night and continued on?
They don't tell me their dreams, but they talk about the energy.
Right.
Because I use white light often
mm-hmm.
in the healing, and so they talk about the experience with the expanding energy.
Yeah. Which which I think, for some people may not be. I know that it's what I'm saying is to a lot of people, you put the idea in motion a lot of times whenever you're in these hypnotherapy sessions, and it does take a while to kind of focus its way all the way through, and so.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a funny thing, because sometimes you'll say to somebody, you'll send somebody to a sort of a therapist, or a healer or somebody like that, and they'll go through the different work with people, and they'll say, well, they'll come home and they'll say, well, that didn't work, but then all of a sudden their life gets progressively better starting about 2-3 weeks out. It's not that it's not like it's well, here's your fix, and I'm going to upload this, computer disk to your brain. It's basically you're planting the seed, and then your subconscious and it takes that and grows with it. Yeah. So
yeah, it's very subconscious, and that's where if we can put some light, shine.
Excuse
some
me,
light,
Kevin, you got a phone call.
Just with what happened to me. Then little by little, things lighten up. Your life lightens up. You become more happy, less depressed.
okay.
It's a miracle worker.
Okay, Gary just.
Your guest is now on.
Hello, Kevin. This is Michael calling in.
Yeah, are you hearing Michael at all, Kevin? Boy, I think we lost everybody.
Yeah, Gary, I'm just calling in to see if I can help out here with a couple questions.
Well, hopefully Kevin will call right back because I just lost him. So,
gosh.
Hope he realizes that.
You want me to hang up?
No. I mean, if he realizes he's off, he'll call back. I hope. Yeah, here he is. Here he is. Okay, Kevin. Kevin, are you there, Kevin? Well, Kevin, are you still there?
I am. I didn't know if.
Well, I accidentally. Michael would like to ask your guest some questions, and I'm back out of it.
Okay. Well, Michael, if you're there, are you there, Michael?
I am here, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well. At this point in time, what I've got going on is that Trish is on the line, and she can hear me ask the question, but she won't be able to hear you directly. So
okay, that's just fine. I just wanted to try to get you to ask her about the Seattle UFO Network meeting that she organized tonight, and the Orb Whisperer lady that was an amazing speaker tonight, and I think she'll have lots to say about that.
Okay, so Patricia.
Yeah.
So Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, yeah.
Hello,
he can
Trish.
hear you, but you can't hear him.
Yeah.
But
thanks for calling in.
Yeah, but he wants to know if you would talk about the Seattle UFO meeting that you had tonight, and the UFO Whisperer that was there tonight.
The Orb Whisperer.
Okay.
The Orb Whisperer. Orb Whisperer.
Yeah. Karen Pinoza from Glacier, Washington, was at our Sue Phan meeting, our monthly meeting, Seattle UFO Network. We meet at a library. And she had all kinds of images, photos for us to view. She has thousands and thousands of images. And they were all colors and sizes, and they moved and danced. And she is a colorful character, very fun and very open-hearted, and they really are attracted to her. And she lives in a little cabin up near the Nooksack River up in Glacier, and she was just showing us how they entertain her, and she entertains them in return, because, as I say, she's quite a character. But she didn't know exactly how to define them, and I think that's definitely fair. People were asking, are these aliens? Are they nature spirits? And she didn't have an answer. She would not go there. And they're probably all of the above.
Right.
Who knows? It's just kind of mystical and magical. So maybe Michael would like to make a comment about today. Could you convey that to me, Kevin?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'll just ask her if she could explain, or at least tell everyone about the guardian orb that Karen had.
Well, yeah, Patricia. So he would like you to talk about specifically the guardian orb that